Hello again. Hopefully I don't kind of need to explain what's going on in the world right now for you to realise that as a nurse I've been a little preoccupied. It's sometimes quite difficult to continue to provide encouragement when you yourself are feeling quite low. But I thought today would be a good video to jump straight back into things and to talk directly to you guys as first year student nurses, because potentially you have been affected the most. Obviously, if you are a second year nurse, you have equally been affected through your course so far. And for you third years, you've had a really rough kind of entry into your third and final year to prepare yourself for life as a registered practitioner in the NHS, which is currently struggling to survive this pandemic. But we continue onwards and we are supporting each other as best as we can. So I thought I would do my bit for you guys that have been affected the worst by having your placements cancelled. This video can potentially help any student at any point in their course, but I'm specifically talking about how you can make the most out of this time. Try and offer a little bit of advice and some support to try and keep you motivated, because I know I really struggle with motivation right now and I'm working. So I can't imagine what you guys are going through as students, trying to make your way through life as a student nurse, but also just, everyday pandemic struggles. So I've kind of got three things that I'm going to cover, but the second thing is kind of staying motivated. So the first thing I'm going to discuss is knowing what's available to you as a student. If you don't know what's available to you and you're struggling, then you are going to find it very difficult to get out of that cycle of struggle. So the first thing, knowing what's available to you as a student nurse and staying up to date. So as somebody that relies on email quite heavily currently to communicate to students, newly registered nurses, people around the hospital, it's really easy if you know the other person is on their email as well. Now, as students, I think the expectation from the university to you is that you check your emails regularly. And this is so important, especially right now when rules, regulations, policies and processes change so quickly. You've got to stay on your emails, you've got to stay up to date with what's going on. You do not want to be one of those students that relies on the WhatsApp group to provide you with updates. I warn you now, that is not a very sustainable method to keep yourself updated. That has to come from you. You have to go and find out the most up-to-date policy on sickness currently in the pandemic from your university and from the practice partner that you're attached to. It is your responsibility as a student nurse to find out what you need to do to call in sick, to submit your assignments. What happens if you wash your uniform with a red sock and it turns pink? What do? You have to start building an evidence base for yourself so that you know what actions to take in any given circumstance. Part of that as a student is that you need to be in contact with your personal tutors or your link lecturers, whoever it is from the university that is responsible for your well-being really while you're a student. So make sure that you're keeping in contact with those people regularly, but also make sure that you know that you're updating yourself. Sign up to alerts. The NMC website, there are different newsletters that you can sign up to. There's one about students and learners in practice. Sign up to that. If there's any news that changes from the NMC's point of view, they will email that directly to you, and you know immediately that that's updated. It could be a couple of weeks down the line when you hear it from somebody else. Don't be that person. Stay up to date originally. So my point number 2 is to stay motivated. Sounds really easy, right? Easier said than done. I'm currently studying at the moment. I'm waiting to submit my research assignment and I start my dissertation next Wednesday. So I know firsthand that I'm studying part-time and working full-time. It's really hard to stay motivated because all I want to do on the weekends and evenings is just chill out and just to recuperate. But, it's all about finding that balance, which I'll get to. So the first thing I would advise, and I've talked about it previously, is to create some kind of study schedule. You could do it on a monthly basis, a weekly basis, and a day-to-day basis. Depends how strict and planned you want to be. Some people don't like that kind of regimented approach. Some people really do well under it. But the main idea is that you are keeping a constant eye on what needs to be done when. So at the moment in my life, I've got to revalidate in March, but I know that my dissertation starts next week. So I'm thinking I need to get my revalidation stuff done now, because once I start my dissertation, that's where my focus is going to be. March will come round, I'll get the reminder email from the NMC and I will freak out. So to prevent myself from that stress in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to get that done now. So that at the moment is the top priority for me to get done, as well as submit my research assignment, which is done, but the module site is down. So I have to wait for that to be launched again so I can submit it. But it's done, I promise you. Point number 2 is to find your rhythm. Create some kind of a routine. So from somebody that kind of works from home a couple of days a week, if I was, and I do sometimes do this, if I was to have a lazy morning and lie in till half an hour before I'm meant to start, I'm not going to be as alert and as awake as I would be if I woke up an hour and a half before or an hour before. It's really important that you rest and recover, but it's equally important that your body is in a routine. So if in your clinical placements you get up at 5:30 in the morning to start your shift, it's possibly a really good idea to try and stick to that time of getting up at 5:30 every day, despite whether you're in placement or not. Your body will adapt to getting up at that time, and therefore it's no longer a hard task to do, it's just something that you do routinely. If you're finding yourself at the moment where your placement has been cancelled and you have been asked to stay on 100% academic work, this is the point in which you are going to need to find a schedule and a routine, because you will turn into a vegetable if you don't. So get up on time, get dressed appropriately, and leave your bedroom if you can. If you're in halls, then make sure you're sitting at the desk, or if you can't find anywhere other than your bed to sit, then try sitting on the floor and leaning up against the edge of the bed. It just gives you a different kind of feeling other than being in your bed. If you've got somewhere that you can go and sit that's quiet, then do that. At the moment, obviously, with all coffee shops and stuff shut, it's very frustrating that you can't get out of your house, but that ultimately is for your own safety, and that's got to be something that you remember too. Also, if you are, in lectures Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you have a Tuesday off, make sure that part of your schedule is that every Tuesday you do something similar. So it could be that at the moment you are doing an anatomy and physiology module and you're meant to be in placement in an oncology ward. On a Tuesday, do some project work or do something that you find interesting to research. Why don't you look at the types of cancers that you would have been coming into contact with on the ward by looking on the trust's kind of ward information, search for the ward, find out what types of conditions you would have been coming up against and start to research them. So even though you're not actively in that clinical environment, you can absolutely start to turn some interesting learning into academic work as well. I touched on it a little bit already, but you've got to find the right balance. And this is really important so that you don't burn out. It's so important that you find a balance for yourself between study, work, and your own life. So if you're living at home with your family, it's really important that if family time for you is important, that you build that into your day-to-day life. If you are finding that you are getting quite wound up, quite frustrated, why not try and doing a bit of exercise? Why don't you try and search for a HIIT class on YouTube, or a quick 20-minute fat burning exercise, or a core strengthening video. Do something that is interesting to you. Again, it could be that you have to build that into your routine, but eventually it will become part of your routine. It will become easier, and it's scientifically proven to make you feel better because of the release of endorphins and serotonin. So that will give you the natural buzz that you need to break through some of those times where you're feeling frustrated. Doing a workout, it's better to kind of do it first thing in the morning, so 20 minutes before you start your sessions online would be really good. Gives you that natural buzz, you'll be engaged and you'll feel more positive as well. Therefore, you'll plow through your day much more easily and you'll get to the end of it feeling really good. That is a positive life cycle that I think I would definitely want for myself. And as I'm talking about it, I really need to do that more for myself too. Now, the last thing about staying motivated is to reward yourself. It is so important that you give yourself the reward that you deserve. Now, it could be that your goal for the day was to get X, Y, and Z done, but you might have only just got X done. But you've still managed to do a little portion of what you wanted to get out of the day. Still provide that reward for yourself, whether that is an extra kind of episode of something on Netflix or maybe a cheeky glass of wine. Find what it is that you can reward yourself for and tell yourself, well done for getting through that day. So, first thing that we talked about was staying up to date and knowing what options are available to you as a learner. Second thing was about staying motivated right now. So important. And the third and final thing that I want to talk to you about is finding new ways to learn. On the internet, on YouTube, through podcasts, there are so many different ways that you can gain knowledge that is not just reading textbooks, reading online articles and listening to pre-recorded lectures. Even though, that is really key, you can find your own learning techniques that keep you inspired and motivated to learn. Watch YouTube videos I was watching one yesterday on PIMS TS because I know that next week that's something that I'm going to have to be doing. So I was watching different kind of videos just trying to understand the same content but just delivered in a different way. So I've read articles, I've researched it, and then I was just watching some different YouTube videos of different animations of what happens inside the body. So therefore my knowledge is deeper than just reading that one article. The other thing that I find really worthwhile is engaging in social media like chats, discussion boards. So there are Twitter chats that happen quite regularly and they're on all sorts of different topics. So if you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter. You can give me a follow and just have a look and see what people are kind of talking about. Follow other student nurses, follow other different professions that you might be in, and I can guarantee you that you will come across something that interests you and that you can learn from. Although, please make sure that it is factual. There's so much out there at the moment that is not based on evidence, fact, or truth. It can get really confusing, but just make sure that you're sticking to websites like the government website, like Health Education England, like your university core site. They will direct you to different learning platforms where you can gain relevant, up-to-date, factual information. So I just want to end it by saying that, your learning is your responsibility and not your university's. So while they will kind of start you off, it's up to you to find your own path. Support is available. There's so much support everywhere. So if you are struggling, know that you're not going through it alone. Reach out for support. I wish you all the best of luck. Leave me a comment down below, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and share it with your friends. And hopefully I will see you in another video very soon. Take care.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain.